The worst day of Kajal's life was the day she broke out of her own coffin. It wasn't even a nice coffin. It was one made to burn, to reduce unclean flesh to ash, to allow the soul to return to nature and be reborn. Traditions such as this reigned strong in Dharti, especially in the town of Sifar, isolated as it was against the crags of the eastern mountains. Though tradition did not specify what to do when a girl's fist broke through rotting wood, terrifying the humble crowd assembled to witness the burning. Kajal shoved the coffin lid off and sat up with a gasp. Everything in her vision slanted and slid. Blinking rapidly, she could do little more than stare at the second coffin beside her, then at the people who gazed back at her in horror. "Get away!" she rasped. Half of them didn't need telling twice, outright running to the squat, pale buildings sitting under a dusk-flushed sky. The coffins had been placed far enough from the town that the smell of charring flesh wouldn't carry. The man who held the flaming branch meant to light the pyre stood with rigid limbs and a slack mouth. "Witch," he breathed. "Dakini." Kajal ignored him and forced herself to move. Teeth gritted as she gracelessly climbed over the side of the broken coffin and dropped onto the kindling. Her arms and legs were shaking and weak with disuse. How long had she been lying in there? Dust and dirt billowed around her, and she thought she saw a shape within it, a moth or a butterfly. Mindlessly, she reached out, but it dissipated between her fingers. "How?" the man with the torch demanded. His voice was thick with the local country dialect Kajal had grown used to during the months she'd stayed here. "The medicine woman said you were dead." The medicine woman was wrong, Kajal croaked. Her long black hair hung limp and unwashed on either side of her face. Someone had dressed her scrawny body in a plain white kameez, another detail dictated by tradition. White was pure. White was the color of renewal, rebirth. "You!" The man pointed the branch at her, the fire reflected in his wary eyes. "We found you both outside the cave-in, surrounded by malevolent offerings. You were behind it, weren't you?" Her head was spinning, but she recalled a cave, a plan. It should have worked. She had been so sure. But all she remembered now was a flash of unbearable light, a cacophonous breaking of stone. Screams. "They are dead," the man growled, his wariness turning to fury. "6 of our miners are dead because of you, and we can't get to their bodies." He pointed at the second coffin. "Not even she was spared from whatever wicked spells you cast. You killed her." The words slid off her like raindrops. She was sanded down, edgeless, without corners or niches to catch them. She crawled over branches and roughly hewn firewood toward the second coffin, gathering stains on her white dress and splinters in her skin. Her chest constricted so painfully she could hardly breathe. It wasn't true. It couldn't be true. She waited for a fist like hers to break through the wood, but all was still and silent. Kajal's throat tightened as she pushed at the flimsy coffin lid. "Don't," the man cautioned. The lid fell to the ground. The girl within was swathed in the same white cotton as Kajal, but on her it looked intentional, like she had chosen it from her clothes trunk that morning. Her glossy black hair had somehow maintained a hint of a curl at the ends. Her face was lovely even in death, lips pale against her brown skin. Kajal's breaths were coming in short bursts, her lungs on fire, her stomach writhing. She fumbled at the girl's cold neck. "See," the man's country dialect drawled around a sneer. "Now move aside. We can't burn the miners 'cause of you, but at least we can burn her before Rakshasas are drawn to the smell." There's already an Aag Ghoda prowling the outskirts of town.